go live. All right. We'll keep checking.
Are we live?
No, no.
My first time ever being live.
Yeah.
Or even mine.
Very nice. Arey wah, very good.
We get to do a lot of VCs, but ऐसे टीवी
Yeah,
पे कभी देखा नहीं है कोई.
Very good.
yeah.
So we are live on YouTube. Uh, LinkedIn, I think it takes some time. Isn't it? All right. All right. So we are live on LinkedIn and on YouTube.
LinkedIn and YouTube, is it?
LinkedIn and YouTube, yes. Okay. So in about a minute, we'll start. A minute or two. Let people join in. So all those watching us now or the ones who may join us later, as always, there will be a lag. So let's be fine with it. This lag is also, I think, like the concept of time travel, right? ये live हो रहा है and YouTube and LinkedIn 2 मिनट पीछे है.
LinkedIn and YouTube, sorry, कितना मिनट?
एक दो मिनट तो थोड़ा ज्यादा बोल दिया. एक दो I think about 40-45 seconds lag of about 40-45 seconds.
Wow.
Is it intentional or is it like accidental?
नहीं, it's accident. I think it's got to do
Quickly
something
we could
with
edit.
Restream. I think
You
the
you have you'll have 20
yes,
seconds. Your back-end team will
yes,
have 20 seconds to edit if there's
yes,
anything you said.
yes, yes. True, true. Okay, 1 more minute to go, and then we'll start by 11:30, or maybe I think we can start by 11:31, allowing people to just.
Yeah, you should.
Yep.
Right. Okay, so all those watching us, just if you could just say hi, hello, or if you could let us know if you can hear us.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
Dilip
their
Kumar
comments
can,
only you can see, Akshay, is it?
yes, and then I'll probably display.
Ah.
It will come. Yeah, right. So sometimes what happens is people also watch us live on YouTube on their TV, right? So then so the ones watching us on TV cannot uh,
Someone just messaged.
post questions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's my
that's
wife.
Mayuri. That's Viraj's wife. Hello, Mayuri. Hi.
Okay. Hi.
She's logged in at 11:25 only.
All right. So it's 11:31, and let's start. And we also have Hemangi. Hello, Hemangi. That is my sister-in-law and Viraj's sister. Yes.
Okay.
पूरा family देख रहा है.
Waiting for Ankita now. My wife is not going to come. She's already a part of some boot camp over Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
अच्छा, देखेगी बाद में.
All right. So let's begin. You guys know the drill. So welcome everyone to Leadership Narratives. All those who've been watching us live since February 2023, Leadership Narratives was something that I started in February with an intention to, let leaders share their narratives, let leaders share their mantra. the success mantra. Yeah, and now we are entering season three of Leadership Narratives. So once again, welcome to season three of Leadership Narratives. As mentioned earlier, this series uncovers transformative journeys of industry leaders who've shaped their lives and businesses in remarkable ways. So to me personally, leadership narratives is more than just storytelling. In fact, it's a celebration of purpose-driven leadership and the profound impact of embracing self-worth and an empowered mindset or a winning mindset. और वो आप सब लोग जानते ही हो कि समक्ष होलिस्टिक वेलनेस के जरिए हमारा मिशन है टू बिल्ड अ कम्युनिटी ऑफ प्रोफेशनल्स working professionals, that is, business leaders and entrepreneurs who are passionate about creating meaningful impact through their stories, through their spheres of influence. And as the host of Leadership Narratives, I will bring you face to face with industry titans who mastered the art of personal and professional transformation through the power of their stories. And my first guests under season three, as you can see, you'll see Ashutosh Ghildiyal and Viraj Kamat. Up until season two, I was mainly focusing on having just one leader, but season three takes it up, takes it a level above, and allows me to interview two leaders at the same time. Yeah. So Ashutosh, let me introduce you to Ashutosh first. Ashutosh Ghildiyal is the Vice President of Growth and Strategy at Integra. Ashutosh leads global expansion and impactful growth initiatives. With 18 years in scholarly publishing and international business development, he is dedicated to innovation and shaping the future of knowledge dissemination. Now over to Viraj. Viraj Kamat leads growth at PivotRoots. Viraj is a dynamic marketing and sales leader in the media industry, known as the bridge between customers and organizations. He excels in business growth, relationship building, and aligning goals with customer needs. Now, I've had the opportunity to work with both Ashutosh and Viraj and see them grow from close quarters. So, Ashutosh and Viraj, thank you for being here today with us. And before we begin, is there anything you guys would want to say before I start bombarding you with the set of questions that I have set out for you guys? Hi, Ankita.
No, I think Akshay,
Thank you, Akshay.
thanks for. No, no, you go first, Ashit.
No, I just wanted to say thank you, Akshay, for inviting. I don't know if everybody knows, but Akshay was my one of my first bosses, and he played a lot of a pretty big role in shaping my career initially and my mindset and my outlook towards work. So I'm grateful for Akshay for those things, for those early learning experiences, and I'm very thankful to be part of this discussion. And I'll try to share whatever I can, which will be helpful for others. Thanks, Akshay.
Thank you, Ashutosh.
No, Akshay, I
Yes,
think thanks for having us. I think it's one amongst our first live talk show. I think me and Ashutosh both have been extremely excited, to be here. Uh, and I think in a very similar way, Ashutosh, as you said, right, I think Akshay is someone who's been mentoring me as well for the past 12 months now. He's always been my go-to person when it comes to having a perspective of life or situation. So I'm extremely excited to decode the learnings he's kind of given us or me over the span of past 12 months.
right.
Uh, so just looking forward towards more conversations.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks, Viraj and Ashutosh for the kind words. It's always a pleasure working with both of you. Now let's get into the main purpose of being here today.
Yeah.
And I always begin this series with my favorite question, which is, "What's your story?" So Ashutosh and Viraj, what's your story? I would want you to share, the journey that brought you to where you are today, uh, and if you could, put some focus on how has self worth shaped your path.
Uh,
Uh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think just speaking about my professional experience, I've been working in growth for the past 8 years now. Primarily 6 years in working in digital marketing, and 2 years I was working in recruitments. Typically, I think as once I kind of reflect back to my own role, there's one thing I've always known, that I've somewhere been a bridge in between, a solution seeker and a problem solver. Whether that being maybe through a digital solution, or whether that being through getting right people the right opportunities for their job. So I think that's been my story in terms of somewhere guiding people with the relevant solution, or maybe mediating the right solutions to a problem seeker. And I think over this span of time, my story has been all about learning and growing. I think personally as well, I have faced challenges. I have explored opportunities, and then I think I've discovered that self worth comes from within. And it's been a key part as well in shaping my choices, and somewhere as well keeping me grounded towards what I'm doing at the moment. Yeah, so
Excellent,
that's been my story overall.
excellent, excellent. Thanks for sharing that, Viraj. Let's hear it from Ashutosh.
Yeah, so my story is, so my father, he passed away when I was 16. I was in class 12th at that time. And my father was a doctor, and my grandfather was also a doctor. So naturally, they also wanted me to be a doctor. And I was academically, I was studying to become a doctor at that point of time, but I was really not interested in it. And so I did a couple of coachings, etc. Like for 1 year I just spent my time, and I discovered I really did not want to become a doctor. And instead, what I used to do, I used to just not go to coachings, and I used to buy other types of books which would interest me and I would read them, and be it by flights of fancy. At that time I was very interested in psychology, spirituality, those kind of things. And so what the idea I had at that point of time was that I wanted to become a parapsychologist. So I
Nice.
thought, what is the way to do that? Let me study psychology, then I'll do a graduation, then I'll do a master, then PhD, and then maybe I'll become that. So just with that very immature and funny thought in mind, I joined this college in Delhi, applied psychology honors.
Mhm.
But what happened was, after a point of time, I realized I'm really not interested in academics, and I would rather not spend so many years just studying a subject. I wanted to make money soon, frankly.
Mhm.
And actually, after my father's death, the family situation was also not that great. So there was that thing that I want to make money. I don't want to be dependent or cause any burden on anyone. So with that point, I switched to doing a bachelor's in management. I thought that this is the way I can get into the work stream fast and start making money. And so I joined that, and I started going to that college. uh, but the thing was that I did not tell my parents about it, so they never even came to know. And for some reason, nobody even questioned me. How that transition happened from psychology to management. And my first tryst with self worth was when I joined that college. Actually, it was a private college, and everybody used to in Delhi. Everybody used to come with by their cars,
Mhm.
uh, you know. And I had brought my scooter from Lucknow, so I used to feel very embarrassed going there. Then finally, I stopped, taking my scooter, and I used to either get a ride or just walk.
Okay.
So that was my first tryst with self-worth. And then from there I just moved on to Mumbai, because
Mhm.
I wanted to, there was the idea of a big city, and Delhi seemed too small by then.
Correct. Correct.
And I had a friend who lived in Mumbai, so I stayed with him for a month or so, and I just randomly, and this was after I completed my graduation, and I just stayed with that friend and randomly started searching for jobs. And Cactus happened to be one of them. And somehow I got selected. I don't know what they liked in me, but I had no idea about what I was doing, why I joined Cactus. I just liked the people. Akshay was one of the ones who interviewed me. And I remember throughout that
Oh,
interview, we were just smiling at each other. So that whole experience made me feel so welcome.
yes,
And then, Cactus, I spent about 18 years at Cactus, early years with Akshay. And gradually, slowly growth started happening. And I had very successful years at Cactus. Initially, things were happening. I wasn't paying a lot of attention. But when real growth started happening, when I was given big opportunity to enter new markets, something where there was no prior experience. That is when self worth really hit me, because
yeah,
I had no idea of what to do. So much of success was given to me in a way I didn't think that I was deserving. So success really makes you question your self worth more rather than if
absolutely.
you don't do anything. So, so in short, yeah, that's I don't know if
Absolutely, absolutely.
that
No,
was
no,
my
I
experience.
think, thank you, thanks, Ashutosh. And for all those wondering, what's this, what's happening. So I have a set of questions, and I'll be asking both of these lovely gentlemen the same set of questions, and you'll get to hear different perspectives.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, Ashutosh, what clicked was obviously the camaraderie between the two of us, because I was the decision maker for that interview. What I liked was obviously your honesty. That was, I think, that is what probably clicked, and I think then you met our then CEO, uh, and I think he agreed to meet you only for 5 minutes, but I believe that interview went on for a long time. Why am I saying this? Is basically what the crux of this conversation is, to letting go of the imposter syndrome. All of us feel that, oh, we live with the imposter syndrome, but when you are actually being your true self, when you actually bring your true self to the table, I think magic happens, and I think that's what perhaps happened back then. So thanks, Viraj and Ashutosh, for your lovely stories. Now, because I have started talking about imposter syndrome, let's hit that topic directly. So, as I said, imposter syndrome is something that many leaders face, and I personally know that both of you may have experienced it
Yeah.
in your life. So, uh, how have you been managing imposter syndrome, and how are you overcoming it in your professional journey?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
Akshay, I think somewhere imposter syndrome, I feel, it is indeed a common challenge. I think many leaders face it at some point in their careers, especially, when it's about taking up new roles and responsibilities.
absolutely.
And I think experiencing imposter syndrome, it would typically often involve doubting one's ability, despite of having skills and accomplishments to back them up somewhere. So absolutely, I have faced it. A lot of times, especially when you are in a new work environment, or when you are in a new place. I call it something called as having a cultural shock, right? But I think with a lot of pre-reading and speaking to a lot of people, there are few strategies I had adopted and I still do, which I found it effective in terms of managing it. I think first come first is, it's as simple as that. I think one should just acknowledge it and normalize it. I think recognizing that imposter syndrome is a shared experience amongst all of the leaders and people, sometimes can be liberating. Also I feel somewhere it empowers to know that even an highly accomplished individual out there can have self doubt, and I think this realization somewhere, helps seeing this feeling as as a part of a journey, rather than a personal failing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh, Somewhere I have as well felt that, I think, embracing a growth mindset, right?
Yeah,
That's been, and I think that's something you've been as well speaking in a lot of your podcast as well. I think that's something has been a very invaluable, right? I think especially perceiving a challenge as an opportunity, to learn rather than a test, right? I think with just this sort of mindset, I think I've been able to feel more grounded. And I think it's a continuous, improvement in terms of building confidence over time.
Yes,
That also helps in, combating fear, out there.
absolutely.
Uh, and I think lastly, which is I think extremely crucial and very near to me as well, which is and that's what I usually tell myself in terms of anyone I'm even speaking with, where I would want to focus on impact and not just perfection. I think shifting that focus somewhere from proving myself to oneself, especially to creating values that's being transformative.
Correct.
I think by
Absolutely.
just concentrating on how my work will benefit my team or my clients, as simple as that, I'm being able to, redirect that energy spent on self doubt to kind of making, a positive impact
Correct.
out there. So I
Absolutely.
think somewhere I feel it is an ongoing process.
Mm,
Overcoming this is an ongoing process,
mm,
but somewhere I think this two, three strategies have, helped me build resilience and confidence. And I've as well
correct.
found that each step towards managing it has somewhere strengthened, both my personal growth and leadership aspect as well.
Correct. Absolutely, absolutely. I'm glad you said you spoke about having that intent and focus to create an impact. Because when you
Yeah,
focus on that intent, when you focus on that impact, you are slowly and gradually moving away from that imposter syndrome feeling.
yeah.
I think great analogy there, great thought there, Viraj. Over to you, Ashutosh. How has been your experience with imposter syndrome? Now, for all those watching us, this is a topic that Ashutosh and I think, we had spoken about in detail. I think last month, where Ashutosh was questioning me about imposter syndrome. So I believe the tables have turned now. I'm asking Ashutosh.
Yes, yes. I think sometimes you're not able to really define what you're feeling, and it helps to talk to someone about it. And so, yeah, if you have a friend or somebody like an Akshay whom you can talk to, that always makes things easier. But apart from that, my experience with the imposter syndrome, like I said, success brings imposter syndrome, and you question whether you are, especially if success leads you to do something totally different from what you have been doing. So you have to see it this way, that if you do anything new, there is going to be imposter syndrome, right? Because you have not done this before, you don't know, you have no prior experience.
Mm,
But does lack of prior experience mean that you can still not think and conquer that thing? I think that is an assumption generally that we make when we don't know things. We feel a little, let's say, a little lonely, right?
yeah.
We feel a little lonely, and that loneliness we try and move away from through distracting ourselves into something or the other.
Mm,
But my experience is, the more time we spend with ourselves alone, rather than running away from ourselves, what we feel, because internally, when you have something like an imposter syndrome or self-doubt,
mm,
inwardly it is very disorder, right? There is nervousness, there is disorder,
yeah.
there is fear, there is confusion, all of those things are there. So you're
Right.
not able to really think clearly.
Mm,
But the antidote to that is not to distract yourself and engage in some other entertaining activities, because after some point of time that thing will still come back again, right? Because it's still there. So my experience is that we try and spend as much time alone as possible,
mm,
going through our thoughts and feelings. And gradually we see that when we do this process, rather than really shrinking away from it, we kind of uh, keep settling down. We settle
correct.
down and become a little easy. And from that state of ease, I think it's state of ease and comfort and balance, it's more easier to do things. I feel that we make it too much, there is too much assumption in it. We think that we are not free, And so just by losing that assumption, I think we can become loose. But it is a process to come to that
Yeah.
realization. You have to
Correct.
be alone and you have to go through yourself and understand all the things that you're feeling.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I completely agree with you that success brings with it imposter syndrome. Now, what it means is you start questioning yourself. कि अरे अच्छा हुआ है, and that again is a result of some of the beliefs, some of the messages that we keep getting from the people around us कि अरे अच्छा हुआ है, but सच में तुमने किया, इस बार तो तुमने कर लिया, आगे आगे कर पाओगे? So then that gets into self doubt, which is why I think it's extremely crucial for us to keep reflecting on that self doubt, because I personally believe that having a self doubt is an opportunity to peel the layer of that unknown self.
Yeah.
So, thanks for saying that, Ashutosh. And my third question is related to this current question, and I would want Ashutosh to continue from where he stopped. So the question obviously is, how does your attitude or self worth affect your career in, say, growth strategy and sales? And once you're done, then Viraj could speak. Maybe. Yeah, over to you, Ashutosh.
uh, can you repeat the question once more?
Yes, yes. The question is, uh, how has your attitude or self worth affect your career in say sales, say strategy, growth, in whatever roles that you've been playing so far?
Yes, I think a lot. Like I mentioned, that self worth is all about an assumption that you make about yourself.
Yeah,
And you know whatever assumption you are having, you start acting that way. And so I think somewhere this whole thing takes away our freedom. So many times, I, because of this low self-worth or self-doubt, I could have been right about so many things, but I didn't say it, I didn't express it. So many things I could have done just because that self doubt was there,
Yeah.
right? And you judge yourself too harshly sometimes.
correct,
You think that others are perfect, you are not perfect. And because of that, maybe you don't need to judge yourself harshly. You need to maybe give yourself a little bit more freedom in how you see things, how you do things. And yeah, and the more I started doing that, I felt that I had more power, I could do more things, I could accomplish more things. Whereas if I go from an assumption about a low self-worth, which is a very real assumption that actually has emotions attached to it, right? I've seen that when I follow that process, then I do much better in my work.
absolutely, absolutely. Thanks for saying that. And the reason I think, considering that you're in a client-facing role, it's extremely essential for us to work on that self-doubt, to work on those negative thoughts that we may be having about our
Yeah.
own self, right? Uh, thanks for saying that, Ashutosh. Over to you, Viraj.
No, I think just to kind of following up to what Ashutosh as well mentioned, I think somewhere I think attitude and self worth they play an extremely important role. Especially when it's about shaping successful career in sales.
Yeah,
I think the mindset you could bring to your work, as well influences how you approach a prospect, handle a rejection, close deals, and as well build long-term relations with clients. I think
yeah,
usually that's the funnel everyone in sales usually tend to follow, right?
correct,
And I think I strongly believe that somewhere self worth is it kind of directly ties to self confidence. Which is an utmost key in sales. I think a professional who would, who would believe in their own value, the skills and the expertise, right? I think they are more likely to approach a potential client with conviction. And I think somewhere this confidence, it is very contagious, and it can help build trust and with prospects,
correct,
especially who are more likely to buy from someone who believes in the value they are offering, right?
correct,
And I think this simultaneously, even attitude plays a role in shaping that confidence.
correct,
Especially when it comes to a positive can-do attitude, right? Helps you. maintain a certain optimism throughout the day, even in
Absolutely.
challenging situations.
Absolutely.
And I think if you approach each interaction with that belief, that can solve a certain problem for a client, uh,
Correct.
I think you are more likely to find, success in sales. I think also, having said that, when it's about, working in sales, for more than 8 years now, I think in sales, I think all of us would agree rejections are inevitable, right?
Correct.
uh, you know but it's all about how you handle it. Largely depends on your attitude and your sense
Correct.
of self-worth. uh,
Absolutely.
I think somewhere a person with high self-worth are not likely to take rejections personally, and understanding that a rejection doesn't define their
Correct.
abilities or value.
Right.
uh, so I think instead of feeling discouraged, one should view that rejection as a learning opportunity, which could somewhere, help you, kind of improve your overall approach,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, I
Absolutely.
mean, somewhere it's about that self-talk we have. So I feel somewhere, especially in sales, your attitude and your self-worth are kind of a foundation, right? And once you have that confidence in your abilities, maintain a positive
Absolutely.
attitude, growth-oriented mindset, right?
Absolutely.
I think you're better positioned in terms of building relations and
Correct.
as well as achieving your, goals out there.
Correct. Absolutely. And as you rightly said, it's all about building that relationship. And when you allow your self doubt to take over, when you allow your imposter syndrome to take over, I think what you're actually doing is you're not just killing the business, you're killing that relationship.
Yeah, yeah,
And this aspect takes me back to an incident where I was in Japan presenting to one of our big corporate clients, and I had seen the presentation that was made by one of the team members the day prior, but for some reason I missed out on deleting one of the slides that was talking about one of the new services that we just launched, and we were not
yeah,
comfortable selling it to the organization, but obviously the person who worked on it had kind of had made a space for that service in that slide. So I quickly glanced through it, thinking that the client may not even see it, and the client saw it. He's like, "Hey, why didn't you? Can you go back?" So I said, "Yeah." And he's like, "Why did you skip this slide?" I said, "I'm sorry, I skipped it because I'm here to talk about how has our relationship been, how we've been working together, and what's the future plan. This is a new service that we are yet to launch, and we're not comfortable. Rather, I'm not comfortable talking about it." So he's like, "That's perfectly fine. I mean, as someone who's managing relationship with clients, it's okay that you've not yet launched it. It's okay that you're not
yeah,
comfortable selling it to the client. Now, whether the client takes it or not, it's up to the client. And even if the client, decides to go ahead with this service, you will learn new things from the customer through the customer's feedback. So I want you to talk about it." So I think to me, obviously, that made me really nervous. But the confidence that the client showed in us, I think that again gave me the confidence too. So it's all about the energy that we have,
yeah,
and when you believe in yourself, when you believe in the service that you're selling, that allows you to sell it to the people, because selling is not just telling someone that this is a service or a product, this is how we
yeah,
help. It's about building that relationship. It's about helping them understand the solution that will help them grow. Yeah. So
yeah.
before we move ahead, I have a question from Paresh. How to maintain a sustainable approach for not getting into imposter syndrome? So who wants to take it? Ashutosh, Viraj?
I'm happy to, Ashutosh. You want to?
Go ahead, Viraj.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think overall, when we speaking of imposter syndrome, right? I think somewhere imposter syndrome, I think often arises because you're stepping out of your comfort zone today. And the good thing is, it's a sign that you're growing somewhere. So it's good that imposter syndrome's there because somewhere, you know it's there, you're growing, and I think somewhere one needs to embrace it as a part of the journey rather than a setback. Having said that, Paresh, to answer your question, uh, I think a regular head check in terms of being self-aware, having it regular practice and adopting a healthy habits as well, somewhere helps it, having your sustainable, approach. So I think somewhere, I think the first step could be, I think one should, I think, understand what is that, what is that imposter syndrome you have. And again, as I said, then, one should acknowledge it that it's a common experience and not a personal flaw, right?
Correct.
Also, I think it is more of to do with your regular practice towards being self-aware, understanding why that imposter syndrome stems out of, and then kind of reframe your thinking in terms of, shifting your focus from perfection to progress. uh, and it's as well about, telling yourself that, it's okay to not know everything, and I think learning is somewhere a part of the growth. So, I think it is that everyday talk you do to yourself, in terms of, I mean, perfection is still okay, but I think what you're doing is being progressing at the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anything you wish to add, Ashutosh?
I think same as the fundamental message that Viraj gave, that it's all about self awareness.
Correct.
And when you think of imposter syndrome, you don't have to be confused by the word. You have to go behind the words.
Mm,
What exactly is the feeling that
correct.
arises? How you act, how you react when there's imposter syndrome. And so being self aware of those feelings itself is the first step.
Correct.
You are feeling, don't immediately say that, oh, I should not feel that way.
Mm,
Don't try and label that as a bad thing.
correct.
Just stay with it, investigate a little bit. Like Viraj mentioned, it's natural, and it's okay if you don't know, right? And in fact, for some time, in many ways it is better that you don't know. Now you can think in a fresh way, right? You can look at new perspectives.
Mm,
You don't have to have a formula to always go back to remove self. It doesn't work like that. It's a process of self awareness. You have to be aware of yourself, and try and spend more time just by yourself, where you're not being distracted by a multi-million of activities. The more quality time you are able to just spend with yourself, being alone and observing yourself, I think that will lead to a lot of benefits that over time will may become sustainable. It's not like a one time thing
Yeah.
that will happen.
absolutely. I completely agree with that. And before we move ahead, I would also want to add something to do it. To it. So Paresh, maintaining a sustainable approach for not getting into imposter syndrome, I agree with Viraj and Ashutosh. It's so when we say why we should not get or how to not get into it, we are trying to control it. So I think let's not control it. Let's reflect on the thoughts that we have. Let's reflect on the feelings, understand where it's coming from, and be fine with it. Because when you start decoding it, when you start becoming comfortable with it, you will realize that eventually you are releasing it. And based on my experience, I feel that if we are coming across as anxious, if we are coming across as shy, then to me that is imposter syndrome, because as humans we are not meant to be shy, we are not meant to be anxious. Yes, you have the liberty to we are born ambiverts. You can be introvert, the you can be an introvert, the moment of the day you wish to be. You can be an extrovert in that specific moment. uh, it's up to us. So it's all about reflecting on the thoughts and feelings, and then decoding it, being fine with it, and moving forward. I hope that answers your question, Paresh. Yeah. Thanks, Ashutosh and Viraj. Now, moving to the next question, which is again very close to my heart. That's spiritual and emotional well-being. Uh, and not many know this, but when Ashutosh and I were working together, Ashutosh would often listen to talks of J. Krishnamurti. And to me, way back then, I was like, "Arey, kaun hai ye? Who's this J. Krishnamurti?" So he was the one who introduced me to Krishnamurti's maybe. And J. Krishnamurti, all those who know, obviously, he was a great evolved being, though he never had any attachment to that feeling. He would say whatever he would feel. He had a lot of knowledge. He was an intuit. He had those divine being energies. But he again never gave any importance to it. His only focus was to help people understand the true meaning of life, simplify the meaning of life, and move ahead. So back then, obviously, I would be like, "अरे यार, ये बंदा इतना young है, ये क्या सुन रहा है, ये क्या कर क्या रहा है?" But now, if I reflect, I think he was way ahead of his time. So I think great job at that, Ashutosh. So with that, I think I would want you to answer this question: Is how have you incorporated spiritual and emotional well-being uh, into your aspects of leadership approach? How do you kind of merge these or incorporate these into your leadership style?
Yeah, I know my wife may not agree with everything that I say, but I do try to incorporate some aspects in my spiritual and emotional well-being. See, one
Right.
thing that I've realized is that our mind is like an ocean, very disturbed, a lot of activity at the top, and at the bottom, it's quieter, it's still. And most of the time we are busy in the activity of the surface mind, in which your job related concerns, your other, so many things are going on. It's total always buzzing, always occupied, never a moment of rest. And then there are these all types of stories going on in your head, right? This person did this to me, that thing happened to me, just fanciful thing and automatic process that is going on,
Correct.
nothing to actually do with us, right? And that creates all kinds of confusion in the mind, etc. So like I said, it's important to spend some time, because it is very easy to become uh, come in that flow and become totally automatic. So when you spend time alone, you are like alone, you are resisting that whole surface flow that is going on, and you try and then be a little bit more still. And when you are a little bit more still or quiet in that way, I think what is inside you, that emerges, that gets an opportunity to emerge. So then you get real and true expression of who you are.
Mm,
Because otherwise, if you ask me a question, if my just surface mind is answering, that is not a real response,
correct. Correct.
right? That's like
Right.
chat GPT, information processing and responding. But
Right.
for true creative expression, and I would also say fulfillment and relaxation and joy to come, it has to come from within ourselves. Our
Correct.
expression has to be freed. And
Yeah.
so to me, that is the spiritual process, that is the emotional process. Follow whatever practice you want, you have to get to deeper layers of levels of your mind which are quieter, from where you can actually think about what you feel and think about things, and then act accordingly, not according to society, not according to what others say, what others expectations of you are, you know so I don't know if I was able to communicate it,
No, no,
but being
absolutely.
centered around that I think is the
Correct.
what I would call spiritual and emotional well-being.
Absolutely. Well said. So it's all about, I like the term surface mind, right? So it's basically जो दिमाग में आ गया वो आपने बोल दिया. It's all about calming your mind, calming your senses, reflecting on your thoughts, articulating it, and then sharing it, allowing the feelings to just settle, and you're transforming that energy into something else. So thank you. Over to you, Viraj. Let's hear it from you.
I think I think somewhere spiritual and emotional well-being is something what I practice with a lot of integrity
Yeah,
and honesty, and somewhere it's been an integral part of my own leadership's philosophy, because it has somewhere as well helped me maintain a balance within my thoughts, approach a challenge with the clarity,
correct.
and as well very importantly lead with empathy. I think this two of the things what I really practice in my regular life, especially when the external environment is not in your control. Is something called as cultivating a habit of being self-aware, and I think somewhere your spiritual well-being, starts with that understanding of what is my motivation, what are my values, what are my goals, what is my purpose, and I think practicing that through being mindful and reflection, it's kind of helped me stay grounded during the course of my day. As well, somewhere it has made me aware about my inner state as well, right? Somewhere this self-awareness has as well helped me, respond rather than react. As well when it comes to making decisions with, clarity and with a lot of integrity as well.
Correct.
Uh, Somewhere I think, something which is very, very close to my heart as well is being empathetic, right? And I think somewhere that emotional well-being has been a central part, to kind of building that authentic relationships with my
Yeah.
team across. And I think somewhere by prioritizing that empathy, I can better understand a unique challenge, right?
Correct.
As well I can better understand the strengths of each individuals, which somewhere helps me create that supportive environment at workplace, right?
Yeah.
So I somewhere strongly believe that compassion in leadership somewhere fosters that trust, and it kind of helps people feel valued, and as well help people feel motivated, to as well contribute.
Correct.
uh, I think also being practicing, spiritual and emotional well-being in leadership, it has as well helped me align, my work with a sense of purpose today. Uh, and I think I strive to connect our goals with that meaningful impact. I think
Right.
Akshay, you would know someone who I speak every day
Correct.
about a purpose-driven culture, what I'm trying to lead.
Absolutely.
And I think somewhere it has helped me strike a balance both within our teams and for my clients as well, who we serve.
Correct.
I think somewhere, when people feel that their work has purpose, it somewhere fosters that, shared sense of fulfillment, as you say, right?
Mm.
And as well, it kind of inspires them to work at their best. And
Correct.
I think that's something being spiritual and emotional well-being can get someone,
Correct.
which is it can help someone lead a life with a sense of purpose, resilience, and a lot of compassion as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well said. So spiritual and emotional well-being obviously go hand in hand. Spiritual well-being is nothing but connecting to your core energy, your core self, and
Yeah,
emotions again is energy. So not allowing that energy to stay within the body. It's about understanding that energy and releasing that energy or transforming the power of that energy into something meaningful. Yeah. So thank you. It was great to hear your views on this because my next question is again connected to the energy that depletes the energy within sorry, not energy, the actions that depletes the energy within us and then later leads to burnout. I personally believe, and I'm sure you would also believe, that burnout is a significant issue for many leaders and professionals today. So what advice would you give to leaders and employees facing burnout? How can they regain their sense of purpose?
So maybe I can.
Yeah,
Uh,
go ahead, Ashutosh.
so on burnout, basically there are two things. One is that burnout happens when you do a lot of meaningless things repeatedly over and over again as a routine. There is no joy in it, there is no pleasure in it, you are not involved in it, it doesn't mean anything to you. So that leads to burnout, right? Now, what is the intelligent way to prevent burnout? And what happens? What you? I think you started the question with what are the factors that are cause? Can you repeat that question
Yeah,
again?
yeah. It is. The question is basically, burnout is a significant issue. So,
Yeah.
what advice would you want to give to leaders and employees facing burnout, and how can they regain their sense of
Okay.
purpose?
Yeah. So burnout. So that was one aspect of burnout. The other aspect of burnout is, you know, even with physical rest, you have a lot of comfort, right? You don't maybe not have a lot of work to do, or you are a VP, or you are somebody. Physically, you have time, you can rest, but mentally, you have no rest. You are all the time, pursuing something, all the time, you are resisting something. So, physical rest is not equivalent to mental rest. Mentally, we need to be relaxed. And for that, why that does not happen? I think because we resist we resist a lot. we resist ourselves a lot, our thoughts, our feelings a lot. All the time we are pushing that, oh, I should not be feeling this way, I should not be thinking this. So that self acceptance is not there, how exactly we are.
Correct.
We are resisting what is. So what causes burnout, what causes lack of energy is this resistance to life within us, resistance to our own self, not acceptance of ourselves as we are, what is, what exactly is, always trying to pursue what should be.
Yeah.
I think that's what I would say is the cause of burnout.
Absolutely. Very well said. This had to be one of the best responses to burnout and finding a sense of purpose. So I think the focus needs to be on what you are, not what you want to be. Focus needs to be on doing things that you really enjoy and not doing because you've got nothing else to do. So I think well said, Ashutosh. Let's hear it from Viraj.
Yeah, I think it's a very common challenge, Akshay and Ashutosh. I think, I think leaders and employees both have a separate objective of burnouts today.
Correct.
And I think first come first. I have always believed that uh, uh, even if there's your mental burnout's much more draining than your physical burnout today. Uh, During the end of the day, and I think somewhere if you listen to your mind and body, it gives you signs. I mean, usually it happens when I'm exerting myself during the end of the week. If I listen to my body, it will give me sign that I'm tired. But if I don't listen to it and if I move ahead, I'll fall sick typically,
Correct. Correct.
right? So having said that, if I have to advise leaders and employees, I think first come first, I think recognize those early signs, especially for leaders, right? It's about being mindful about that warning signs to yourself and to their teams who are employees.
Correct.
And as well for employees, you would say, pay attention to that physical and emotional fatigue. I think further it's about that acknowledging that burnouts, as a sign that some changes are needed in the lifestyle,
Yeah.
right? I think also it's about seeking support and open a communication, right? If for leaders, they need to create those sort of an open environment where employees feel comfortable, discussing stress and challenges, right, without that fear of judgment,
Correct.
right? And simultaneously for employees, I think reach out to your peers and mentors if you feel
Correct.
burnouts or if you're struggling, right?
Correct. Correct.
I think taking, I mean, it is just about understanding and communicating. Someone, I think one needs to prioritize self-care. Uh,
Correct.
One
Correct.
needs to reconnect with their purpose as well,
Correct.
and then kind of strike a balance between, your work and your life with a lot of flexible schedules and stuff like that.
Correct. Absolutely.
So I think that's few of the things, overall how I have started managing burnouts, which is inevitable today with the
Absolutely.
routine we have during the course of day. Right, it's about just
Absolutely.
listening to that sign, acknowledging
Correct.
it, taking a time out, or maybe reconnecting to back to your purpose. Right.
Correct.
Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. I liked what you said, recognizing the signs, because what matters is you trying to understand what's happening within, right? And it's as we said earlier that the main challenge happens when you are sitting with that problem, when you're not discussing that problem with people,
Yeah.
and when you want to hold on to that problem, I think that is where the burnout
Yeah.
happens because it literally kills you from within. And I think I believe Ashutosh said that, or maybe you said it, that physically you may be fit, but if mentally you're feeling drained, that physical energy is probably of no use, right? So thanks for sharing that, and for all those listening, obviously, what you could also do is sign up for Hridayvani service by from Samaksh,
Yeah.
holistic
Absolutely.
wellness that focuses on emotional well-being conversations. I'm just kidding. See, this is what happens when you're working with people who are managing growth, sales, and strategies.
You're opportunist.
You tend to start selling your services. That's the
You're
power of
taking our vibe
Ashutosh
away
and
from
Viraj.
us.
Yes, that's the power of Ashutosh and Viraj's growth strategy.
You
Just
always
kidding.
should be an opportunist, right? Is no harm asking, Vasa.
Yeah, just kidding. Yes. All right. So moving to the next. question. So, which is why I think it's such a coincidence. So growth often requires taking risks, and I believe I just took the risk by sharing, talking about Revani. So when someone is not enjoying their job, do you think they should stay for the paycheck or take a risk and pursue something more fulfilling? How did you guys handle similar situations in your career? Yeah, so let me repeat. It's a long question. Growth often requires taking risks. Connecting to our earlier question on burnout, there are quite a few people who are feeling stuck in life, feeling stuck in their job, but they don't want to shift because obviously they have a belief that, oh, the job market is really bad, uh, and I'm being paid well. What if I don't get the same pay? What if I don't get the same job? So, what according to you, when someone isn't enjoying their job, do you think they should stay for the paycheck or take a risk and pursue something more fulfilling?
Yeah.
Koi bhi
Viraj,
jao.
you want to go ahead first?
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Yeah, go ahead.
See, ideally, and this is what I personally feel like. When I think all of us should have been in situation once, but I think when someone isn't enjoying their job, right? The decision to stay for a paycheck or to take risk to perceive something that is more fulfilling, I think it's deeply personal for them. And it often depends on an individual's circumstances. But if I have to give a balanced perspective, there are a few pros and cons to it, especially when you have to stay for a paycheck. I think one of the pros is obviously financial stability.
Yeah,
I think if you're someone in a financial secure situation
correct.
and need to support a dependent today, staying might be a responsible choice for a short term,
Yeah,
and I'm saying short term. Again, it also offers a job stability. It has its own benefits, career growths, right? Uh, 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 but somewhere, as we spoke about the cons, right? Emotional burnout is one of those. I think staying in a job that isn't fulfilling
correct.
can lead to an emotional burnout. It can lead to a dissatisfaction and mental exhaustion, as we just spoke
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
It can as well lead to a missed opportunities. One might just miss out on a career that excites or motivates, right?
yeah,
And somewhere leading to that lack of personal growth and fulfillment somewhere. So how honestly I would approach a situation is I would firstly I think assess the situation if I have to take that decision. I would as well evaluate how much longer I can stay in my current role without a burnout. As well consider whether it's possible to shift into a much more fulfilling position within the same company. I think in my own career as well, I have faced these moments where I've felt a bit stagnated. But I think I have always viewed those as a growing opportunities. Uh, Somewhere I think early on I have stayed in jobs that were entirely satisfying. But I think eventually when the right opportunity arose, right,
yeah,
that also aligned with my values, somewhere I took that risk. And I think that transition wasn't without challenges, but I think it
correct,
somewhere led to much more meaningful work
correct.
and very importantly, personal satisfaction at the end of the day.
Yeah,
So,
agree.
just to summarize, I think this choices does depend on an individual's unique situation somewhere.
Correct. Absolutely, absolutely. I completely agree with that. Let's
Yeah.
hear it from Astosh, and then maybe I'll give my views.
Yeah. So if you are not enjoying your job, then you have only two options. Either you start enjoying it, or you leave. And you can
Correct,
start enjoying it also is a possibility, because many times, maybe just our attitudes, our experience, something is blocking us from actually seeing that job, and what you need to do, for what it really is. Maybe it isn't
correct,
such a big deal. You're
correct.
making too much of a big deal. There are too many assumptions, etc. Or maybe you've just spent too much time there, and your mind is now fully saturated with stories and fixed with opinions about how things are there, how things are supposed to be, and also the way you are perceived by others. Maybe they started seeing you in a certain frame only, and maybe it's impossible to change them now. That
Correct,
is never going to change.
correct.
Right? So that is the point, uh, of at which you need to take that decision. That decision needs to align with your sense of your own potential. Do you have more potential to do more things?
mm,
After all, life isn't only about the job. Of course, for financial security it's very important, but job is a part of life. And if we are not able to live life while we are doing job, then
Yeah.
why are we doing the job? It's not that
correct,
life is separate, job is separate. While we are working, we are not
correct,
living. We totally,
correct,
so either we have to live whether we are working or whether we are not working, right? We
absolutely,
have to enjoy life, we have to have a fulfilled life. So I think along those lines actually. And as you know, for risk I feel that there is no logical way to assess risk, at
mm,
least for these kind of things, because risk is a very emotional thing.
mm,
Risk is about uncertainty. And the word looked at the root meaning of the word risk. The root meaning of the word risk is not being on a solid ground.
oh,
So you don't know where you stand. There's an uncertainty. You don't know what is going to happen. And I've been in that situation, as you know, Akshay. Earlier this year, I was working with a company, a great company, uh, for about 18 years. I loved working with people there, and I my job was pretty comfortable. I knew everything about that job. I was a master of my thing, right? And there was no pressure, nothing. uh, Even in financial terms it was going fine, everything was going fine. So at that point I had a decision of moving to another company, another role, better role. So I had this, what do you call, dwanda, a
mm,
conflict, a lot of conflict. Should I stay so comfortable here, so secure here? There was a lot of security in my job,
correct,
or to risk going somewhere I don't know what is going to happen. Totally
correct,
new. So it was a very personal and intense, experience with risk for
correct,
me. And I spoke to Akshay, I spoke to some other friends as well, trying to make sense of what I was feeling. And then, despite all pulls of security and comfort, I said I'm going to take that decision. I had no logical basis to take that decision. I just took that decision.
correct,
And it's not like after taking the decision I felt very good. I also felt uncertain after taking the decision. But gradually what I started realizing was that I have a lot of freedom in the way that I can now shape my life, now shape how look people look at me, how I do things. I'm free from the constraints of the past, and that led me to do a lot of self discovery, and gave me a lot of confidence also
correct.
in itself.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think what I'm getting from both of you is one is not being happy in whatever you're doing is personal to each individual.
Yeah.
So you need to reflect on what is it that you want to do, whether you want to stay, whether you want to leave. Ashutosh mentioned that either you stick in the same job, fall in love with that job, or you move ahead. And even when you decide to move on, there's again a risk of uncertainty because I personally believe that life obviously is uncertain and we are meant to create a structure in an unstructured environment we call life. So I think great views there, Viraj and
Yeah.
Ashutosh. So all those watching us, if you are going through that inner dwand, I like that word, Ashutosh, that inner conflict, then reflect on what you're feeling. Reflect on why are you not enjoying that job? Why are you feeling stagnant? Work on those beliefs कि अरे मार्केट में जॉब का सीन बेकार है ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता सीन अगर बेकार है तो आपके लिए बेकार होगा और आप सोचोगे कि नहीं मुझे जॉब तो मिल जाएगी आई नो वन पर्सन who's doing really well in life whenever he decides to move on in life uh, somehow life presents him with two or three jobs that are waiting for him
Wow.
and he then takes that jump that is the power of the belief that you have in your own self, right? So moving on to the next question. Next question, I'm thinking of clubbing that question because there is the main the root of that question is similar. So one is obviously I'm combining it with leaders' ability to inspire and motivate the team and leaders' ability to take decisions. So what we're going to do for this question is uh, side or maybe part one of the question, I would want maybe Ashutosh to take, and part two, maybe Viraj could take it. So the question is, what role does self-worth play in a leader's ability to inspire and motivate their team? Now, this question I would want you to take, Viraj. And the similar question, which is the part two of the question, is what role uh, or how does a leader's sense of self-worth affect their decision making? Now, reason for asking this question is when I started off my journey in my previous company, the image that I had created about myself right from the start was that I am timid, I am indecisive, and I believed that I was indecisive when someone close to me in the organization said, "Oh, this guy doesn't have any views. This guy is indecisive." It took me 2 years to work on that perception, and it really impacted my ability to make decisions. Which is
Yeah.
why I have a strong belief that yes, higher the sense of self, greater the ability to take decisions. That's my perspective. Let's hear it from Ashutosh. So the question, the first part is, and Ashutosh, you can take that. How does a leader's sense of self-worth affect their decision making? We can't hear you, Ashutosh.
Yes. So, see, our reality is our own assumption, and we can create it the way we want.
Right,
And when you are a leader, then you have a completely new opportunity to create the reality that you want. We must start from that place rather than, and it's easy to shape people and new teams. The only thing is that you have to get involved, and obviously, if the leader has issues of self-worth, then what is going to be with the team, right? So put your own mask first before helping others. Work on yourself, on your self-worth. Feel good about yourself. Like I said, a lot of issues with self imposter syndrome, all of those things, they are because we are too agitated from inside. So focus on some quiet time. The more you are quiet and relaxed, the better decisions you are able to take. And when you are quiet, relaxed, and easygoing, then you don't have these issues of self-worth.
correct.
Self-worth issues happen only when the mind is very, very agitated, is too busy, too distracted, not in touch with itself.
Absolutely, absolutely. And aligning the mind and body is our responsibility. That's
Yeah.
the soul's, us, our responsibility to align it. I completely agree with you. When the mind is stable, when the mind is calm, the road is clear, and you're able to take decisions.
Yeah.
Be it your personal life, be it your professional decisions. Great, great perspective there, Ashutosh. Now, Viraj, uh, now let's look into the softer side of it. So what role does self-worth play in a leader's ability to inspire and motivate their team?
I think Akshay, I'll try to start this by saying that I'm being honestly very fortunate for the past 8 years, right? And maybe three jobs I have done. My reporting managers has been the co-founders of the companies, which means they are the one who started the company with a strong purpose and led a team maybe of 5 to a 3 plus 100, right? So I and one of my reasons of and one of the things I'm thanking to God as well is so that I could closely work with them and adapt and look at those guys in terms of what has their leadership quality been and how has their it's kind of inspired and motivate their teams right today. And I think few of my learnings has been I think this is very very important. I feel is their confidence and their authenticity. I think leaders who somewhere value themselves are more likely to project that confidence, and I think that is that confidence which is extremely contagious as well, and it all as well reassures the team, right? That making them, and it kind of reassures and helps the team to as well take up challenges, right, and as well follow that leader's direction to perform at their best.
Correct.
As well, I think being authentic, a lot of leaders I have worked with, I think being authentic as well, allowed them to be transparent as well as vulnerable to their teams. Somewhere this kind of helps build trust and fosters an environment, right, where the team member feels comfortable in terms of sharing ideas, challenges, and as well as success.
Mm.
As well, I
Absolutely.
feel that I think leadership, who have a positive view of themselves, are more likely to empathize with their team.
Mm.
Somewhere they understand the importance of supporting their team emotional needs.
Correct.
Recognizing that a well supported team are the ones who are the most motivated, right?
Absolutely.
So I think leaders with those strong self worth are
Correct.
better at managing their own emotions,
Correct.
as well as I think responding effectively to their team's emotions.
Correct.
I think which has been an essential in fostering and motivated a extremely productive environment. And I am personally in my 8 to 9 years have been really fortunate enough to work with certain leaders,
Correct.
through who kind of carry this, values of, having empathy, showing confidence, being authenticity, as well as realigning the team to the purpose of why they started the company at the first place,
Correct.
right?
Absolutely.
So I think, just to answer the part B of your question, where how can one foster that or cultivate that amongst their team? I think very important is to provide that positive feedback and recognition to the team.
Correct.
I think somewhere I have as well felt that, I think regularly acknowledging an individual and a team's accomplishment, right, in terms of maybe celebrating smaller wins, of whether big and small wins. I think people feel seen, and as well, they kind of feel valued with regards to their contribution,
Correct.
towards their environment. As well,
Correct.
then it leads to a lot of safe, inclusive environment, and as well it then provoke encourages a lot of professional
Right.
development for
Right.
for them as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well said. Uh, what I'm getting from this is that when a leader knows, when leaders know themselves, they're able to project their positive energy onto the
Yeah,
people that they work with, right? Because irrespective of the culture of the organization, what matters is that even a strong leader with a strong sense of self can transform the overall culture, right? So I think
you know
that's what matters.
as they say, right, people don't leave companies, they leave bad bosses.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
So
Correct, correct. And I think with that, we are coming to the end of today's talk. It's been a great conversation, Ashutosh and Viraj. My takeaways, obviously, before I move on to the final question, is that uh, it is up to us to determine what value do we want to add. We'll be able to add value only when we know
yeah,
what we are, when we know our worth, when we start valuing ourselves. And I always, and I also got that from your conversation. Something that I always keep saying is that when we undervalue ourselves, we move towards self doubt. When we overvalue ourselves, we move towards arrogance,
yeah, yeah,
right? And the beauty is in balancing. It's finding a balance, allowing yourself to feel anxious, allowing yourself to feel powerful, to feel energetic, because it is your life, it is your energy. Uh, and I'm going to be two things that I'll be taking. One is obviously, Viraj, the fact that you said that it is specific to each individual, right? The decisions that they want to take, how they want to inspire people. And Ashutosh, I think what stays with me is that word dwand, the inner conflict. And having that inner conflict is good because that allows you to move forward, right? Now, before we end the chat, if people have any questions, feel free to post it. But I will definitely have one final question from my end, which is what's one piece of advice you would give to leaders who are struggling with self doubt uh, as they try to scale their businesses? How can they turn their self doubt into strength? Go ahead, whoever wants to go.
Viraj, you want to go?
yeah. I'm happy to. I think there are two pieces of advices I would personally like to, give in terms of leaders who are struggling with self-doubt rather.
Right.
Uh, I think one is trust in your vision, and as well build a strong support network, right? I think scaling a business for all of us can be daunting.
Mm.
And I think self doubt then often arises when leaders face that uncertainty, right? About decisions or growth or predicting the future. I think during this moment, it's as well important to reconnect with that bigger picture, which is, in a way, your original vision and the purpose of starting the business at the first place. I think these clarity, can help you navigate through challenges and stay focused on the long-term goals. I think
Correct.
second something is very important and is something what I really follow, and I really believe that your tribe decides your vibe phase, right?
Mm.
So I think one needs to really surround themselves with a very strong support network. That could be mentors, advisors, and a trusted team,
Correct.
and even peers, who are kind of going through those similar experiences somewhere. Because these guys often have a perspective, they would provide advice, and I think most importantly, it gives you reassurance that you are not alone in this situation facing challenges. So you got to have people to lean on, somewhere that can reduce that pressure of feeling that every decision kind of rest on our own shoulders,
Correct.
soldiers. So, and also I think self doubt is, I think, very very one thing I would like to end is, I think self doubt is very natural, right? But it somewhere doesn't define your ability to succeed. I
Correct.
think when you trust in your vision, and seek support, I think you are more likely to make that clear-headed decisions, and as well move forward with a lot
Correct.
of confidence, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Completely agree with you. I think some great tips for people who wish to transform their self doubt into their strength. What do you, Astush? What tips would you want to give to people? You're on mute.
Yeah, I think ultimately everything boils down to that our own self worth is our own assumption. It is something that we have assumed ourselves. Of course, it feels like it's a big thing, and that we have to spend years and make a lot of effort to get rid of it. But if you look at it in a way, it is something that is very something that you can get over very easily. It's just about dropping that assumption that you have about yourself. And but it's easier said than done. Like I said, it comes with observing the world around you more, observing yourself more. And a
Correct.
lot of time our low self-worth is because we are not closely observing people. Are they perfect? Are they making no mistakes? How can you be sure that they are not feeling nervous or going through feelings of inadequacy? And are they all making sense? Obviously not. So
Correct.
why do you have to be
You made
perfect? But what you have to be though is true to yourself. To be in touch with yourself, be able to express
correct.
yourself from the place of who you are rather than
Right.
other types of pressures. So I think self acceptance is necessary, like what we discussed. Who you are is what is, and what is who you are. And we what we do is we
Correct.
spend all our effort in trying to change what is into what should be. And that effort, that wishing to change what is into something else, that is what causes a lot of
Correct.
friction. And so we should be able to face
Absolutely.
ourselves, we should be able to be with ourselves. I would say that, do an exercise, go take a walk just by yourself. Nothing, not listening anything on the iPod, not reading a book, not doing anything else, just spend time with yourself. The more time you spend with yourself like that, obviously you find it extremely difficult. It's extremely difficult for us
Correct.
nowadays to spend time ourselves because we are so used to being busy. So that voice that needs to be heard, that only comes after you spend some time with yourself, and probably go through some kind of some challenges and disturbances as well, because everything that is stuck there is not pleasant, right? You have to let it come up and come into your mind and then pass it away. It passes away. So I feel this is something
Correct.
that we need to do. We need to spend our time with ourselves without extending in any external activity. The more we are able to stretch that in terms of time we are able to spend ourselves, the just the practice of that is going to increase our self-worth by hundredfold, I feel, because then we will
Correct.
be in
Correct.
touch with our real self, and we will know that we don't need to depend on other people's opinions about who we are or what we need to do. We can then create our own path through our own intelligence without depending on any
Correct.
external pressures.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's what I liked was drop that assumption, and I think that's what we all need to do. Because when you assume yourself to be uh, strong, it's not assumption. It is something that you've worked on yourself. You've reflected on your own strengths, your weaknesses. You've embraced your failures and mistakes and transformed yourself into someone you really meant to be. So thank you for all the lovely analogies, lovely the quotes and the words, Astosh and Viraj, that you've
Thank you.
used. One is, I think, it is specific to each individual. One, I think, dropping the assumption. These are some great words. Uh, and to all those watching us, I would want you to, if you'd like, just go through this conversation again, and do reach out to us in case of any questions, and if you have any feedback, recommendation, try practicing, the suggestions that Ashutosh and Viraj have given. Put those into practice and reach out to us. Tell us how you've been finding it. And as far as leadership narratives is concerned, I'll be back again with two other dynamic leaders, either in December or January 2025. Yeah, with that, I think we come to the end of today's leadership narratives. Thank you once again, Viraj, Astosh, and all those who
Thanks,
be
Akshay.
watching us. Yeah,
No,
thank you.
I think before we end, Akshay, I think I would, I kind of wanted to take a moment to thank you sincerely,
Okay,
for the work you've been doing, to support and empower a lot of purpose-driven individuals.
thanks,
Uh, and I honestly feel that your efforts are truly inspiring, and they've as well had a lot of meaningful impact in so many lives, right? Who are striving to make a difference somewhere. So I think thank you for
thank you.
leading by example, as well. I think being a guiding force to a lot of these people who are seeking clarity and direction in their journeys.
Thank you.
And as
Thank
well, I
you.
wish you a continuous success for future
Thank you.
endeavors.
Thanks, Viraj. Thank you once again. Yes.
Thank you, Akshay, for the
Thank
opportunity to share my thoughts on this talk.
you.
I also agree
Absolutely.
with Viraj. You know, it's always great talking to you. You
Yeah,
make it so easy to talk and open up, and you are such a great listener. So it's always a great pleasure to talk to you. Both
Thank you.
offline and online.
Same
So
time.
continue to do what you do. Continue to help others see the
Correct.
best in themselves.
Yeah. Thank
Thank
you.
you a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
See you